It's rookie camp season, and we're going to take a look at the New Orleans Saints, and we're going to get our first glimpse of Spencer Rattler. We're going to look at his highlights from rookie camp, but before we do, you need to click that subscribe button because we're looking at all these rookies from what they're doing in rookie camp. We're going over the highlights one by one, and you don't want to miss out on your favorite rookies. Also, mini camp and training camp too. Click that button. Stop missing out on your favorite players. Spencer Rattler's in the house. Over a minute of clips here, so we got a fair amount of clips. We'll run through these, then we'll do it again and talk ball and the Saints, fantasy, and all that stuff. But first look, we're just taking a look at him. One thing I noticed while clipping these, and I noticed it at Oklahoma during the recruiting process at South Carolina, he carries himself with a lot of confidence, a lot of moxie. You can just see how he interacts with everybody. And that can go one or two ways. That confidence could just spew over and be positive. It could also be a negative. It's just really how a person is. So I don't want to look too far into it. He's also got a pretty ball. For a quarterback being drafted in the latter part of the draft, the Saints got themselves a good prospect here. A top-tier recruit who can fire it out there. Wheel and deal it. I say consistency is probably the thing with him. But when it comes to being able to do everything, he can definitely do that. He can maneuver the pocket. He can thread the needle. He can get it all over the yard. It's not like you paid a first or even second round pick for him. Watch the feet there. Good balance. He's light on his feet. I like Spencer Rattler a lot. I was very excited about him in the process because I knew he was going to go later in the draft. I was guessing probably like third round or fourth round. But as a developmental prospect, this is the kind of quarterback I want. A top-end recruit who flashed with two different collegiate programs, who we know has some upside, who when you see them talk in interviews, they carry themselves well with a lot of moxie. You see them make those highlights, make those plays in big games, able to make some of those throws. You see the downside, though. You saw with the inconsistencies that 1 year at Oklahoma where things went really bad. We were able to bounce back from that. The feet looks good. Good distributor of the football. Can throw off platform, throw from different arm angles. A kid that was regarded as a top-tier talent coming out of high school, able to get to the NFL level after that atrocious season at Oklahoma that allowed Caleb Williams to come in, who got drafted as the first quarterback overall. He's able to get drafted. He's able to rebuild his stock. So many people were so down on him, thought he was done when he transferred to South Carolina. Able to rebuild his stock out of the rubble to get to this point. The fact that we got to this point is a big deal, considering he is or was a late round pick. That's a big deal. That shows some heart to be able to rebuild that stock and come back. He's got talent. He's got a ton of talent. We have to capture that. We have to build off that. Probably one of the more talented quarterbacks in the draft, but we got to build on that. We got to develop, and maybe that can happen here. You look at the quarterback position there with the Saints. It could be ambiguous down the line. That could allow for a Rattler to step it up. Since he's a late round pick, he's got to do it fast. He's got to do it quick. He's got to do it this summer. He's got to do it whenever he gets opportunities. Maybe this season, maybe next summer if he gets that far. Got to pay attention to Spencer Rattler, a developmental quarterback who has a lot of upside, a lot of moxie, a guy you need to be paying attention. So we're going to talk about fantasy football redraft. You're not really paying attention unless big news happens, and then you may want to pounce. But dynasty, 2 QB, you're drafting him second round, third round, middle rounds. You're playing the ADP with that because of the quarterback values. It also depends on how liquid quarterbacks are in your league. If they're not liquid, they're being held over a barrel, you're drafting him a little higher. If there's quarterbacks for some reason left on the waiver wire middle of the season, or if you can get trades done in your league, you can really go after that wide receiver and running back and play chicken a little bit. But with quarterbacks being held over a barrel in Superflex, you just pay up for that prospect you like. If you like him remotely this much, you pay up for him. You pay up for him over that 3rd-round wide receiver, over that 4th-round wide receiver, over that running back who fell in the draft that did not go in a juicy landing spot. Those players, or when that wide receiver running back well starts to go dry, and it is dry, and you're like, I don't really like this, that's when you look at Rattler. There's no finite number for this. It's league to league. It's variable. But considering the stock at the quarterback position here, if he gets opportunity remotely for like 3 to 5 games even, the stock price goes up and you can sell and get a major return on investment. I think the sweet spot where you want to pay, early 3rd, mid-3rd. I'm seeing him going to 2nd. I'm seeing him going to 4th. I think the 4th is too cheap for a quarterback like this. If you're playing strategy here, and we know he's got the name cachet, we know we got a vertical offense, we know we got some weapons here. When that well goes dry at the running back and wide receiver, and you just catch that ick while you're on the clock, that's when you pull the trigger. That's when you pull the trigger. There's no finite number, like I said. It's super flex. It depends on your league. It depends if quarterbacks are being held over a barrel, and that's how that's going to work. And it's going to work best for you. So you may take him at 401. This guy might take him at 301. This guy might take him at 208. It really depends. Maybe even higher than that. It really depends. I'm seeing it all over the board here. I'm seeing people fade him a little bit because he's a late-round quarterback. That makes sense. You'd rather get that wide receiver. And you don't have the wide receiver ick if you're doing that. That's the thing. Once you get that ick, you go to the Rattler. Once you get that ick on the wide receivers and running backs, you go to the Rattler. That ick's not there, you don't do it. It's simple. Simple. And that ick's going to come sooner to some people, later for others, and that's how that's going to work. You just play that. But when we're looking at Rattler, though, Saints fans, you got a quarterback who's a developmental prospect with a ton of upside. He's got as much upside as any quarterback in this draft. He's as talented or more talented than a lot of those quarterbacks drafted in the 1st round. We got to put that together. We can't duct tape it. We got to put it together. We got to Mod Podge it, whatever you want to call it. We got to put it together. We got to develop him. We got to get him flowing in the system. We got to get him exceeding expectations soon. If he does that, if he starts getting opportunities, if he becomes a starter, you better watch out for this guy because he does have the goods in his game to get it done. He's a player we've been watching. He's a guy that came out of the rubble and was able to rebuild back some of his stock. His stock was here, then it went to here, and now it's coming up. It's coming up. If anything, he's a guy to root for. Especially Saints fans, pay attention to him because he's a good quarterback. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.